when we say it here in the West, we always say OSHUN, but the actual correct pronunciation is OSHUN. It's the O with the dot underneath, which is one of the letters that we don't have in the English language. It's a distinct Yoruba letter. So it's OSHUN, and this means the source. She is the great mother. She is the force of moisture. She is the force of passion. Passion is the force behind existence. The divine attraction of opposites, the divine attraction of complementary opposites, this is what makes the universe go round. This is OSHUN. This particular cosmic force is OSHUN. It's not, I didn't expound on that this much, but yes, it's all in there. It's all in there. But yes, passion is the force behind existence. Attraction is what causes this passion to be able to manifest. So that force of attraction, that force of passion, all of these things are OSHUN. When we look at the necessity for passion, we have to be careful not to be viewing things from a Greco-Roman perspective. This is important to know because the society that we live in is based on Greco-Roman thought process. Okay? Greco-Roman thought process teaches us that pleasure is bad, bliss is bad, passion is to be avoided, and attraction is something that you don't pay attention to. This is due to the psychosexual male adjustment of the European man. They did not evolve properly. And so their ways of viewing passion and sexuality are incorrect. So this is why we have those things ingrained in us in this society. Our ancestors did not suffer from that. So they had no problem with paying homage to passion, paying homage to bliss, paying homage to ecstasy. All of us are products of ecstasy. And we are taught to look at that as a thing of shame. But when you say it, isn't that something beautiful? Isn't that something wonderful to be just a little bit of ecstasy floating through the universe? That's a beautiful, wonderful, powerful thing. There's nothing to be ashamed of. There isn't any sort of thing that is good and pure that makes you feel good. That's bad. And this is one of the things that OSHUN teaches us and OSHUN reminds us of. So I always say OSHUN is ecstasy, abundance, and bliss. She is everything that makes life worth living. As a daughter of OSHUN, as a child of OSHUN, as a priestess of OSHUN, one of the ways that you will be, and that I have always been stereotyped, is as someone who is very, obsessed with physical appearance and how things look. And that's true. I am obsessed with that. And so because for a long time, I just tried to resist it. As I was initiated, Ashadi was 17, I was carrying Ashadi when I was initiated, so that was 18 years ago when I was initiated, right here in Atlanta. I was initiated. So for the beginning of those 18 years, I tried to resist that because I saw that as a negative stereotype of OSHUN. As I began to meditate on it, because being initiated means that you create a personal relationship with that Orisha. That's what that means. And through your personal relationship with that Orisha, you serve the community. It doesn't mean that you lord over anybody, that you necessarily lead and guide people. You lead and guide by example. But you don't get to lord over anybody, regardless of how many titles you have or how long you've been initiated. What you're supposed to be lording over is your own Ori and your own destiny. And to a certain extent, your children, because those of us who have them know that you can't really lord over them either. But as I began to meditate on it and get to know OSHUN better, I realized that to be concerned with how you appear and how your surroundings appear is actually the force of harmony. OSHUN is the force of harmony. She seeks to create harmony wherever she is. Harmony that we see as beauty, harmony that we experience as love. Because when you are in a harmonious, you have a harmonious connection with another person, that's love. That's what love feels like. And then harmony that we know as attraction. When you feel that you could have a harmonious connection with someone or with something, you're attracted to that thing, or you're attracted to that is part of what comes naturally to you when you are a child of OSHUN. It's what you try to bring into each situation. When there's a situation where you don't have as much power, one of the easy, quick ways to do that doesn't ruffle that many feathers is by making things look good. That is creating harmony. But it is the job of OSHUN to create harmony wherever she goes. It is the job of OSHUN to bring beauty into every situation. Beauty uplifts everyone. Beauty makes everyone feel better. It makes everyone feel more at ease. And therefore it makes life more smooth. It makes us able to flow more smoothly through this journey of life. So beauty is one of those other things that we've been taught by Greco-Roman philosophy that we should, shy away from. This shouldn't be something that you're that into. It shouldn't be that important to you. But from an African perspective, we understand beauty to be just as important as any other force in the universe. As a child of OSHUN, as a daughter of OSHUN, as a worshiper of OSHUN, because you don't necessarily have to be a child of OSHUN or a daughter or son of OSHUN to worship OSHUN. As a worshiper of OSHUN, you always seek to keep the space around you, yourself, and your situations as harmonious as possible, as beautiful as possible. If you find yourself in a situation or in a space that is not what you consider to be beautiful, which as I keep saying, is harmony, is harmonious, you will become ill. It's bad for children of OSHUN to be in places and spaces and to do things that they do not feel a harmony with and that they do not feel to be a beautiful thing. So this is why people always say that we gravitate towards particular professions, maybe fashion professions. OSHUN herself, of course, was a hairdresser, which from an ancient perspective is a very, very important position. To be able to deal with someone's organ is one of the highest positions that you can have from an ancient perspective. But modern children of OSHUN are often hairdressers as well. So we gravitate toward those things that allow us to create more harmony in the universe. Along those same lines, OSHUN herself and children of OSHUN are very, very wonderful business people. This is another way of creating harmony. You create a financial harmony around yourself. You create a harmony of resources around yourself. And so she has the title, and sometimes, depending on where you are in the world, she is referred to as Yalode. And this means, if I give you just the basic translation, it's the mother of the outside. So this is the mother who is able to handle business in her home and in her compound, and also able to handle that same kind of business outside her home and outside of her compound. So this is the meaning of the term Yalode or Iyalode. And I didn't put that in here, I'm sorry. When we speak of OSHUN bringing harmony, bringing equilibrium, then we know her also to be the quality of balance in the universe. When you are responsible for making sure that those complementary opposites come together, what you are constantly creating is balance. So if we were to find another counterpart for her in the ancient Kemetic, which the Europeans call Egyptian, neters or forces of nature, then we would have to say that OSHUN is both Peperu and Ma'at, because OSHUN is that important in creating balance. So this is another counterpart for her. From a Western perspective, OSHUN is one of the most controversial orishas because Western society seeks to destroy feminine sexuality. And OSHUN is the bringer of feminine sexuality. We are all looking at each other. I'm sitting in a chair that's made of something. This is made of straw. That's made of wood. There is nothing that we can see, taste, touch, feel, or experience that is not the product of female sexuality. It's how we all got here. But this is something that Western society has always sought to destroy. So we see that they created all these fictitious characters who, because they were sexual women, were bad women. So we had this strange story about a woman and a snake in a garden. And that's Eve. We have a story about a woman who, because she worshipped the goddess, was, supposed to be destroyed. That's And that story is entirely about the fact that she had more sexual power than he did. Not in there. It's not. They decided not to put that one in. Yeah. So you have all of these fictitious Western female characters created to say, if you are a woman, your sexuality is bad. If you are a man, it's your job to control that woman's sexuality. This is what these fictitious characters were created to say. This has nothing to do with what our ancestors believed. It's fine if you want to study those traditions and get an understanding of those traditions. I like to study a whole bunch of different things. This has nothing to do with ancient African thought. Our ancestors were completely at home with feminine sexuality and continue to be. You go to Nigeria, you'll see they're completely at home with it. It's not frightening to them. So Oshun is that force of feminine sexuality. That is the totality of feminine force in the universe. This is why she is the head of the totality of feminine force in the universe, which is the Iyami. The Iyami often called Iyami Ajeri or Iyami Oshorongo, translated by Western people as the witches. I don't have any problem with them being called witches. That is not necessarily the name that our ancestors gave them. But when we look at witchcraft has always been the feminine ability to use natural forces to manifest what we need in life. This is what witchcraft is. So there's nothing wrong with being a witch. There's nothing wrong with Oshun being the head of the witches. I myself am a proud witch. I'm from a long line of witches. My mother told me I was a witch before I was 5 years old. She was like, well, you know. So I don't have an issue with that, but I do understand, having been raised in this society like all of us, that is a word that causes people to cringe from time to time. But yes, Oshun is the head of the witches. Oshun represents that total femininity, is that beauty. It is that ability to have that sexual prowess. It is the ability to transform your reality through witchcraft. It is that optimum intelligence. And all of this wrapped in a package that is completely alluring. This is what makes her so controversial. So when she comes across the ocean here to the west, then what happens to her? We find her relegated into positions that are not as powerful as what she carried in ancient times. So we find her being shown to be a prostitute. We find her being shown to only have a preoccupation with her own looks and with money and with finery. I've read so many times when I first, before I became initiated, and I knew that I was going to be initiated to Oshun, and I was studying her. So many times I read that Oshun was not a good mother. How is this possible when her praise or Ricky is Oreyeyeo? Oh, good mother, oh, gracious mother. Her name means the source, the great mother, but so many times you read in her Western understanding that she's not a good mother. She gives her children to the children of Yemenjah to raise. You read this so many times. This is the Western inability to fully understand the totality of the feminine force. And Western mindset will not allow you to embrace it in its wholeness. It's not going to allow you to embrace that full package. So since you can't do that, it has to denigrate, it has to put it down, it has to make it look bad. None of this is true of her. This was not the ancient way that she was seen. So we have to, when you study the Orisha, you always have to begin by studying and understanding the culture. Metahoji always said religion is the deification of a culture. Every religion, any spiritual system that you choose to practice is just that culture deifying itself. And that's good. Every culture should deify itself. Arabs should believe that the Arab way of dressing, that Arabic is their holy language. The issue comes when they try to tell me it's mine. So if we look at our tradition, our spiritual tradition, it is the deification of our culture as well. With that being said, if you do not seek don't want to fall into the trap of feeling that because our ancestors were forced to add things, that those parts that they added were less powerful and less useful. Okay? Our ancestors were brought here under circumstances that were, of course, horrific, and the lifestyles that they had to lead were less than perfect, obviously. But isn't it amazing that we are still here today? Praising OSHUN? Isn't that totally and completely amazing? When people were killed for doing less than this, when people were killed for speaking her name, people were killed for drumming the drum. So the ways that our ancestors had to change the tradition do require, for us to pay homage to them as well. But it also requires, from a Pan-African perspective, for us to know, okay, this is a change that was added later. Doesn't mean that we don't pay homage to it, but we have to know, okay, this is not anything that comes from our culture. So that's important to me, and that's something that I have to say. Within the Yoruba cosmology or Anago cosmology, sexuality and the womb and the feminine force are understood to be sacred. Everything is understood to issue forth from the womb. The posture that a Yoruba woman takes when she is giving birth, abiyamo kule, when you kneel down to give birth, is a sacred posture. If a woman falls into that posture at any time, anything that she speaks while she's in that posture will come to be. So this is how women very commonly put curses on or blessed people in ancient times. They would fall into this kneeling, birthing posture. From that perspective, because everything issues forth from a womb, OSHUN is referred to as the unseen mother present at every gathering. Even if you do not see her there, because everything came from her, she's there. When we do libation, we're paying homage to that. We understand that nothing exists without Munificent. Nothing exists without cool water. Everything issues forth from cool water, and so we're always paying homage to that unseen mother present at every gathering. So she is the mother of Eshu Oda. OSHUN, when she came as an Orumale, and remember that when we talk about the Orumale, and when we talk about the Odu, the Madahochi Barachun always taught us that you're talking about the time before time. So everything that happened in the Odu were those